is the presence. As we start talking, we explained a lot before about the emotion of the man, the ones we know, sadness, joy, and everything else. Last time we explained about a special emotion, which was the emotion of presence. We dream. This is the emotion which man always called it a dream, but is actually part of the emotion. But it happens during the time when the physicality is off. When the physicality takes time to be in connection with the souls, not in the dimension of physicality. Emotion of joy and sadness and everything else is when we are physically in touch with each other. We see, we hear. But the emotion of presence is when our physicality is on a standby and the soul interacts. And in so many ways, sometimes in communication between the soul of the man and the soul of the position, dimension, individual, we are witness to it because our brain is in between the soul of the man and the soul of the communication point. As we said, even a stone has a soul. Even if you see a stone, a light, a structure, you see the collective soul of that entity. But this thing has to fly between the two. The soul of the man is what we call the intermediary in between. And so what we see from it is in between. We remember it as a dream. People were asking last week some questions. How do you explain it? This is the brain of the man. And as we explained, this is the soul of the man. And somewhere here is the soul of anything, your mother, your father, a friend who you are communicating not in the physical dimension, but in the dimension of essence of the fields of the creation, what created you as a physical condition. And so, as the fields travel back and forth, the brain is in between. And depending what kind of emotion goes through, it picks up some of it, and we call it the dream. Now we understand what the dream is. Dream is a real condition, but the interaction of non-physical, but in the dimension of the soul. So, the dimension of emotion of presence is the emotion which we didn't know, that creates an emotion, because again, this time is the emotion of the soul, which is within, dictates, and some of it leaves memories on our physical brain as part of its memory. That in the future, when man develops to a further point of understanding his creation, then these points of memories will come into operation. We remember these. It's like we learn the alphabet. At this moment in our physical dimension, we don't see them, we don't remember them. But in the essence, again, the memory bank of the soul will remember. But it has used the physical dimension in transaction between the two souls, in transmission between the two souls. The soul of presence is one of the most fundamental parts of literally confirmation of the existence of anything for us in the universe. Which means we will identify the person, identify the entity through the impression of the fields on our soul. We understand the emotion of it, what it is. And in that process, because sub-levels of it is to us pain and everything else, in the level of our soul, we feel their pain. In the level of our soul, we feel their joy. We feel their emotion in that way. Then we understand the emotion of everything else will depend on how we perceive And if we have developed the spectrum of fields, then we can see and feel everything in the space. If there is a living entity, if it's a decision-making entity, a stone to be a stone has made a decision, has an entity, integral part of it, which holds it in that shape. In the time when the man matures and understand the level of the creation, man will take the shape of the position where the soul will arrive, as we have said before. Transmutation through the elements of the soul of the man will create that condition. So when we land on planet Mars, we'll take the shape that that planet allows us to exist. Doesn't matter if it has oxygen or not. Because in depth of the space, we take the opportunity and what that environment allows us to have. The mass is the same, it's the weight which changes. So in the, when we arrive, the weight, which is the pressure gravitational magnetic field of the environment, decides what shape and what material will absorb as energy and how we live. Then if you understand this, when we come to a stone and we can transmute through the strength of the soul of the stone, we can go within the center of the stone. Live within the structure of the atoms, the soul of the atoms of each entity in the universe. In so many ways, we choose the position and time and the place. But it comes to another point. How do we choose the place? There is what is known as the emotion of position. At the moment, in the physical term, we have a map. We have a GPS. We mesh this planet, and according to the mesh we created, we pinpoint exactly where we are. In the universe, there is no such a thing. The soul of the man has the dimension, the strength, and interaction of the fields with other entities in the universe gives it that opportunity. You want to be in such a position through the emotion of the position, which is a higher strength than the strength of the manifestation and presentation, will come into position, will come into effect. Which means if you want to manifest yourself while you're in New York and then manifest yourself in Tehran, the brain knows exactly the strength field for you to be positioned to be that way. You do that when you call in a dream, in the motion of presence. You don't know where the father is, you don't know where your mother is, but when you make a contact, you know where they are. They're in your house, they're in somewhere you've seen them before, or they're walking somewhere. Now mankind has to learn the second, what I call GPS of the soul. In a way, you can manifest yourself as a point. Where is the point of satisfaction between all emotions? A balance. And this will come into play from now on, that we start teaching you about the universal systems of travel. This is within the structure of the soul of the man and within the structure of every cell of the man. It is not something unknown. Mankind does this in a dream, you call it. You see yourself on the street, somebody you know, shopping with your mother, with your father who passed away, or your brother, which is in New York. You're walking somewhere in Canada on the streets you've been together before. And you remember the shape, the color, the seat. So it is part of us, and up to now we never understood. And mankind, to become part of the universal community and be able to travel the span of universe, needs to develop this further, to understand it, to be able to travel the spans of the universe. The emotion of presence and emotional position is something that we try to explain and teach and provide systems to back it up, that mankind can be trained. As I said, it's like a driving lesson. You know the car, you've been in it many times, but to drive it, you need to be taught how to turn, how to change gear, how to have emotion in respect to the red light or somebody jumps in front of you. And this is the training, this is a course which we'll set up in the coming months and weeks. As I said, the Keshe Foundation has developed and will soon unravel a new technology, unseen, unknown, that brings into operation the totality of what we taught you as a MAGRAF, but you never saw it. We teach you, as now you understood the MAGRAF, the universal MAGRAF system. In so many ways, is a breakthrough. We kept you 5 years on the way to learn it, understand it, and many of you broke through it, but you never stood still to develop it, to bring it to the point. And now in the next months, we will not teach, we will show what we call the universal systems, the flight, the energy, the light, and every other things, food, and the rest of it. These systems are what the universe is created out of. These systems are how universe operates. I tried to teach, but unfortunately no one understood. As I said, it's beyond the understanding. But it needed some contemplation, it needed to understand it. And in that process, as we break into through to 21st of March, we open the box.